So, I recently finally got around to watching, well, not watching, but kind of, watching in bits and pieces the three-part interview that Midnight's Edge did with Kim Penders a year ago. And this was actually recommended to me by fellow fans of Sonic themselves to see what Penders had to say, basically hear his side of the story. And all I'm going to say is it's very intriguing. I mean, you find out from his perspective how he came on board with the comic, how he was basically one of the people responsible, if not the person responsible, for trying to, if not legitimately getting the comic to go from the silliness that it was known for, the hybrid of, having the Sad-AM characters in a adventure style setting, to more of the Sad-AM serious dark tone that we were used to in the cartoon. He even said that it all started basically when they were asking for more material, because Sega wasn't, the best place to get material from when it came to Sonic at the time, and they were asking him to come up with some material, and he came up with the idea for the Sally arc, for Sally's arc of, getting her own story, getting her own miniseries from that story, and thus that being the catalyst, I guess you could say, to the more darker Sad-AM inspired tone that we would end up getting in the comics. He also goes on to state that he didn't know about what happened with Sonic Chronicles until he got word from somebody, I think it was his wife or his son, that somebody had approached them during one of the conventions when he was away from the table they were at, and this person was from BioWare, EA I should say, and they basically wanted to know more about the characters and the lore, I guess, and I guess that's what led to them creating the Chronicles, because they got information that they wanted without Ken's permission. And then he also goes on to say that basically he first found out of the reusage of his characters, or the republishing of his stories as well, when he heard about the archives from somebody being published, that Archie was publishing the archives, involving his stories and his characters, and he wasn't seeing a cent out of it. And so he talked about that, and how that all became how all that became a legal mess. He then goes on to talk about the movies. He talked about how around early to mid 2000 they were working on Sonic Armageddon, and they were meeting with the people. He had the right people with him to meet with those at Sega to get this off the ground, stuff like that. So yeah, I haven't watched it all, but what I've taken away from what I've seen so far is, from Ken's point of view, it's been an interesting journey, or has been an interesting journey, as part of the Sonic franchise, and all I could say is it's definitely something to sit down and watch, or if you can get it in podcast mode, like audio podcast mode, it's definitely something to listen to, let's say on long trips or something like that down the line, which I may end up doing for next week or so when, me and my family, go out of town. But besides that, it is, from what I've seen, a very interesting take on the Sonic history from the comics, from the Archie comic perspective, movie perspective, and all that. So, do I recommend checking it out? If you have the time, yes. I would recommend that if you're doing something, to put it on in the background and listen to it, or to listen to it while maybe you're relaxing, eating lunch or a snack or something like that. I do recommend going that route. But yeah, like I said, some of the things he pointed out, he talked about, were very interesting, very intriguing. Like I said, I know I use that word a lot in my videos, but very interesting and intriguing to hear from his point of view. And all I could say is hopefully we'll hear more from Ken in the future with interviews like this. And Midnight's Edge, if I was to make a recommendation, bring on Ian Flynn. Do what you've done with Ken, do what you did with Chris Bores, do what you would do with anybody you would welcome to bring on board. Sit them down, ask them the tough questions you feel need to be asked, unfiltered and everything. Get their point of view. Because I can definitely tell you this, Ken's point of view for what happened, what he was part of and everything is interesting. I can only imagine if you get someone like Ian Flynn, what his perspective, what his thought process and everything was from his time on the Archie book, and what he's currently thinking of and going through right now with the IDW book. But let me know what you guys' thoughts are down below. I do recommend checking out Midnight's Edge interview with Kim Penders. Like I said, let me know what your thoughts are down below in the comments, as well as in the live chat during the premiere. And I am out.